All right, I just wanted to do a follow-up video for the Comma 3X inside of a 2021 Tesla Model 3. So this is a hardware 3 vehicle, meaning that it's got the older self-driving computer in it. So support for full self-driving is very limited. And in fact, in Australia, Tesla just released full self-driving for the hardware 4 cars, so basically any car made past 2023 from my understanding, and they still for some reason released full self-driving for the hardware 3 cars, but the reception for hardware 3 cars has been really bleak. Essentially they released what was enhanced autopilot and called it full self-driving. So there was a lot of backlash in Australia. I don't know if that's the same for other markets. But essentially for hardware 3 cars, there is no full self-driving. And this is a really good road to show you the functionality of the Comma 3X. I've been running it this entire video. So the Comma has been driving the car thus far. And I'm currently using the nightly dev version for the official Openpilot. We can see this car here is turning right. The Comma, ooh, that was a bit aggressive. Anyway, this is a 10.1 nightly dev edition, and I'm just going to swap from Openpilot to this experimental mode. When I click this button up at the top right of the Comma's interface, it swaps between what I believe is regular Openpilot and the experimental mode, which is their new longitudinal end-to-end system. So my understanding is that the regular Comma self-driving Openpilot, the regular version does not do end-to-end longitudinally, meaning for acceleration and deceleration, it's still the Tesla's adaptive cruise control controlling the acceleration and deceleration. But now that we're in experimental mode with this little orange symbol up the top right, we are in this new end-to-end. Now this new end-to-end model is really nice for a few certain things. First of which, the deceleration with experimental mode is really natural. The regular version of Openpilot, and again it's probably the Tesla system that I'm complaining about, but the regular version of Autopilot is quite aggressive on the acceleration deceleration. But you can see with the new experimental mode, the deceleration is really nice and really delicate. Although there are some drawbacks with this experimental mode, it's very cautious, which I hope will be improved in future releases. It keeps a distance between the lead car that I think is a little too large, especially in a scenario like this where it's peak traffic and the people behind you just want to get home from work. But it's a really nice deceleration, and the acceleration is quite... The deceleration is about the only thing that I really like about the experimental mode. The acceleration's quite slow. I find if I run the experimental end-to-end model that I have to press the accelerator pedal to get the car to accelerate. So here's an example. That red car's getting quite a bit far away from me. So I'm going to have to give the car a little bit of acceleration. But it's the most natural feeling driving model that I've experienced in this Tesla. But I find that I don't run it too often because of the really cautious acceleration. And also, even if the lead car is tens of meters or hundreds of meters ahead of you, this model won't like make up the gap. I have to switch back to the regular version. The car is now accelerating slightly. So it's basically sort of, at the moment, I'm finding myself swapping between the experimental mode and the regular mode based on how dense the traffic is. The regular Openpilot can be quite jarring for deceleration. It will approach a car pretty quickly and it'll take a while for it to sort of register and decelerate. And it can be quite scary. I've just de-engaged Openpilot there. But the experimental mode, I hope the aggressiveness of the acceleration gets improved, and I hope it does a better job of matching the maximum speed that you set on the system. So even when I'm on the motorway or the highway and there's no cars in front of me, it's even if there's nothing in front of me, the car won't get to the speed that I've specified inside of Openpilot. So say that the speed limit's 110, with experimental mode enabled, it'll coast at like 95. It's quite cautious. One other thing to mention about the experimental mode is it will stop for red lights pretty consistently too. It's definitely not 100% there, but I believe this experimental mode with the end-to-end longitudinal is the only model, at least that's an official Openpilot release, that will stop for a red light if the system recognizes it. And with the experimental mode, there is like a visual feedback on this line in the center of the interface that will basically communicate to you that the system is recognizing a point at which it needs to slow down. So we can see that here. But yeah, that's all from me. Since my last video, I've just found the whole experience with the comma has greatly improved in a short period of time, just from using version 10 of Openpilot, which is available, I believe, publicly. But if you want the bleeding edge, you can download the experimental nightly repo. And it's been my favorite experience so far with the comma in the Tesla Model 3. If you've got a Tesla and it's got hardware 3, I think this is the best value self-driving system available by far.